taxes and limited government. And yet, despite the passion and fury, most Americans are remarkably clueless about how our tax system works. Surveys indicate that they have no idea about how they are taxed, much less about the overall contours of federal and state tax systems. For instance, a poll found that 2/3 of Americans say they only know a little bit or nothing at all about U.S. tax policy. Half think that 75% of federal revenues comes from personal income taxes, whereas less than half of federal revenues actually comes from personal income taxes. The book focuses on U.S. tax policy, but includes information about other countries where it is enlightening. For example, we talk about U.S. tax burdens compared with the rest of the world and discuss the value-added tax, VAT, which is not currently part of the U.S. tax arsenal, but is ubiquitous elsewhere and often proposed for the United States by would-be reformers. We offer an overview of state and local taxation in the United States, but our main focus is on federal taxes. The book has 3 main sections. Part 1 describes how we are taxed in the United States. It starts with a broad overview and then more detailed discussion of personal and business taxes, taxes on spending, such as the VAT, and other taxes, such as the estate tax. Part 2 discusses the costs and benefits of taxation. We begin by discussing how taxes affect the economy, the $1 trillion+ of spending that are channeled through the tax system, sometimes called the hidden welfare state, the burden of taxation and notions of fairness, how the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, runs the U.S. tax system and how complex the process is, and finally, whether taxpayers always deal with the tax system in a rational manner. Part 3, a tour of the sausage factory, covers tax politics and tax reform. Although taxes can be mind-numbing, we hope to key our discussion to issues that are likely to be on the mind of the average taxpayer and be in the news, as well as supply interesting information that many readers might not know about, such as how the IRS decides whom to audit. We have tried to employ a light touch, interjecting tax humor and political cartoons where appropriate, and illustrating key data with very simple graphics. Why did we write a second edition? As we note in the book, the tax system changes. Since the first edition, Congress passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, the biggest modification of the U.S. tax system since the Tax Reform Act of 1986. The policy debate that led to TCJA raised a number of important issues that weren't on anybody's radar screen in 2013. For example, the Destination-Based Cash Flow Tax, DBCFT, is a mouthful. What is it? And it's made other issues that we did discuss in the first issue a lot more salient, for example, territorial taxation. In addition, the political process leading up to TCJA has revealed much more about how tax legislation gets made in the United States that is worth examining. And the run-up to the 2020 presidential election raises even more issues, such as should the United States adopt a wealth tax? This is a major update. We have revised and updated nearly every topic in the first edition. We have added more than 40 new entries, including a new chapter on behavioral economics. We have been heartened by the reception of the first edition in terms of sales, text adoption, favorable reviews, and compliments. The second edition is even better. Part 1. How are we taxed? 1. The view from 30,000 feet. Why is everyone always so worked up about taxation? Taxes in America amount to about 30% of national income, or roughly $15,000 per man, woman, and child. That's a lot of money that could otherwise be spent on goods and services that people value and enjoy. So it's no surprise that Americans pay very close attention to whether we are getting our money's worth and whether our own tax bill is too high. Legendary Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. once said that taxes are what we pay for civilized society. This is true in the sense that tax dollars